Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 15395 Southwest Village Lane here in Beaverton, located at the back of the house. We're going to drop into the 4-inch cast iron cleanout obviously at the back of the home here, right next to the air conditioning unit. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Using the garden hose here to run water. Probably a wipe there hung up in the line. We'll revisit that. And sorry, my auto leveling camera right now is out of commission. My camera's going to be kind of situated a little sideways, sometimes upside down. Doesn't bug my eyeballs at all, but in case you're wondering why the water is not on the bottom of the screen the whole time. And we just went past a spot there a moment ago. We're going to go back to it on our way out. It did look like we may have had some dirt migrating through the pipe. Now we're into 6-inch concrete. I imagine we'll be seeing the main lateral here pretty quick. Got a little earthworm right there, bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Creepy crawly. Anyway, there's the main there at about 41 feet. The only reason I like to point out earthworms is they are an indicator the line is at least exposed to the ground, even if it's from a fairly technical standpoint. Your joints in cast iron and concrete, both concrete especially, usually wear out sooner. We'll go over that here a little bit more in just a second, what that means for now and in the future. Once the line drains out, we're going to do some locating too here real quick while the pipe drains. Alrighty, located the camera head here. It looks like the line actually shoots at the full width of the little waterway back here. Based on my current locates, I can't get right on top of this spot just because of some bushes. But it looks like we're getting about 5 feet or so, maybe as much as 8 feet on the other side of the little waterway back here. And then the line hits the main lateral. I'm going to do another locate here in a second just to help verify that. Anyway, so you can see your pipe joints out here, everything is still true, they're all lined up, no issues. That little worm there was weaseling its way through the joint, it looked like. Anyway, what happens is over time, the grout that seals these joints up wears out. Very similar, you can see the top of the pipe, bottom of the line, which is the top of the screen right now, how much rougher it is than the top of the sewer. Same thing happens to pipe grout. It's just another type of concrete, essentially. Over time, it wears out, and slowly but surely, those joints become more and more exposed to the ground. Where they become most concerning from a functional standpoint, from flow, where things can start causing flow problems, is where that can lead to hydro erosion. When joints get bad enough, it usually takes a while. They can start sucking the dirt into the pipe that surrounds the sewer line that's supporting it, and it can erode the support out from under the pipe, also theoretically over the top of the line too, but it can cause the line to start settling, where you can end up developing bellies and offset joints, things of that nature. So right now, none of that has occurred, so you're more in your infancy right now, these joints being exposed to the ground. You're getting a little bit of a dark moisturing around some of them, but from a flow standpoint, not doing anything. The only scenario, like that right there, it might be dirt, it might be a little bit of excess pipe grout. The fact that I'm not seeing a lot of movement of the joints, they're all still aligned properly, it's a good chance all that is just pipe grout. But the only time that a joint can ever get you before you get to that point is if the city randomly decides to do something like a dye test, where they do a dye test on the line and they see that, there's a level of it that's seeping through the joints. Other than that, it's more of a technicality than anything, but in the immediate right now, it doesn't cause any flow issues at all, but it is something to be mindful of. Okay, so currently where we're at right now, just to give you an idea, we are right on the edge of the little spillway back here. on the house side edge of it. About 4 foot 9 inches deep is what I'm getting here. So by the time it pops out the other side and then gets over to the main lateral, you're back up to where the ground rises back up, kind of like you have on this yard. It dips down quite a bit down into that spillway, and then you come back up the other side up to the yard level on the neighbor's side. So by the time you get to that other area there, just accounting for the amount of ground that rises up, that line at the main there is probably around 7.5 to 8 feet deep. So this, being that this is a pretty straight shooting sewer line here, it doesn't have much. I think there's one turn I've noticed so far, maybe two. So again, you got some stuff sticking out of the joints right there. Very easily could be pipe grout. Could also be dirt. Again, right now, not doing anything to affect functionality. And being that no shifting has taken place, no settling issues have happened thus far, this is a line that still has some time left in it, but the settling issues that can occur usually happen very slowly but surely. I'm talking over the course of 10, 20 years, sometimes longer. It just depends on how much migrates to the joints. Right now, it looks like very little is doing that. Anyway, all the concrete pipe there is graded very nicely. It drains off completely. No flow issues there. So it's one that, you know, but for instance, if you're planning to sell the home in 5 years, being that it looks as good as it does right now, I might rescope it again in about 2 years, maybe 3, see how things are looking, and then maybe take another look at it if everything is still staying put, again, before listing the home. And the reason you want to do that these days is what can hopefully occur is if you update the line, you can hopefully do it trenchlessly if you want to go that route. You've got a lot of options when your line is just under grass and dirt like this. It does span a spillway though, so there's that to deal with. But so far everything in here looks epoxy lineable. You could do trenchlessly if you wanted to. The importance in keeping an eye on the sewer line is if it does all of a sudden start to more aggressively settle or something of that nature, you just don't want to lose the chance to take advantage of a repair process like that if you can help it. If it's the kind of thing you want to do anyway. Your cast iron here, you've actually got an earthworm right there, bottom left-hand corner of the screen. And I noticed here a moment ago, it looked like dirt was sticking off the sidewall of the pipe. If nothing else, I'll notate on the report where I noticed that. My camera may have knocked that loose going around it. Another earth, well, let's see. That might be a worm right there. It certainly has the same color as an earthworm. And what ends up occurring, have you ever been in an old basement with a cast iron pipe dropping out of the ceiling? It's not uncommon at all to see little rust drip marks going down the side. So what those are is pinholes that form in the cast iron. They often will rust themselves off and close off that way. Same thing occurs to your pipe underground. You get these little rust holes that form, and that's often how little worms and things like that can get into the line. Like this spot right here, you've got some gunk jutting out from the pipe wall there. Some of that is the wipe. I actually think there's a little bit of dirt sticking to the joint. It's not necessarily a joint, but sticking off the pipe wall right there. So a lot of that we're looking at is a wipe, but right where it attaches to the pipe wall, it kind of looks like you've got some dirt there. And I think my camera may have potentially knocked that clump of dirt loose that I saw on the way out. But you've got a few spots right here that look like some pinholes have formed. The plus side is no settling has occurred yet. So in the immediate right now, not doing much to affect functionality as long as the line's not being abused. That rougher texture certainly doesn't love things like wipes. That looks like dirt coming through there at the top left-hand corner of the screen too. And for this type of pipe material, this age, it's not an uncommon thing to see. I don't see a big channel going down the middle of the flow line right now. There's a little bit of a hump in some spots, which usually indicates some level of scale is accruing there. But my camera's not dropping down into a big deep channel in the flow line. So by the time, if let's say 5 years down the road is the time where you're going to put the house on the market, by that point in time, I would imagine you'll probably want to have this thing updated. You know, these things are going to advance and get worse with time. Yeah, that's definitely a worm there. You can see he's finally poked out the other side now. And the way that they're getting through is either through a pipe joint that's exposed to the ground, or through pinholes, or sometimes they're larger than that. The scale buildup that occurs, a rust layer, can often build up over the top of them, and it's very hard to see how substantial they are. Anyway, from just a pure flow standpoint, the line is relatively clean. I mean, there's certainly some gunk and some sludge in there, but no major buildup as it sits right now. You know, at least for the exterior, this clean out does not allow me to go backwards. It's a directional style. Cast iron will often age pretty consistently, so more than likely the interior cast iron is in a similar condition as this. So anyway, I think by the time we get 5 years down the road, I think it would probably be a pretty safe juncture in time to probably want to get the line updated. But I would keep an eye on it periodically. I'd probably do the next scope in about 2 years to see how things are looking. And then you can kind of start planning out how you want to do things. So it doesn't run dead straight. By the time it hits the main over there, you're lined up pretty well with this clean out. The line kind of jaunts at an angle away from the house, turns, and then straightens out, shoots across the way over there, and then hits the main approximately about where the neighbor's bushes there, that taller row of green bushes, meets their yard, approximately in that spot there. In the immediate though, nothing about that line there should be causing blockages, not unless improper stuff is going down the line, or lots of balled up toilet paper, you know, more abusive type scenarios.